Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Waiting to rise again.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Quirks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the moment you've all been waiting for.
Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Raising Cane studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour 2, Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. We're brought to you by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp, coming to you from the Raising Cane studio. One more hour to go here for us. We got a lot to do in the second hour. Saints minicamp is underway for the rookies. We'll get to that coming up in 15 minutes. Anthony Dasher will be with us from Athens. He covers the Georgia baseball team. He's here at 2:30 to preview LSU and the Dogs, so we'll get underway in about 3 hours from Foley Field. I can't start the hour right now after that Sports Center update. I got somebody calling the Tampa Bay Rays the hottest team in baseball.
I mean,
excuse me?
I don't know what's wrong with it. This Cubs, it gets serious.
The Cubs have won 9 in a row, more than Tampa, and the Cubs have won 14 in a row at Wrigley. That's the most in the history of Wrigley. Wrigley's been around for a minute.
Very long time.
So let's just get some things straight up there in Bristol. Not Tampa. The Cubs are the hottest team in baseball.
Hey, look. The lady that usually does it, she's sick right now.
She is.
Give him some slack. I
will not. Get it right or pay the price. All right. We're going to talk LSU basketball here. Will Wade picked up another commitment. He now has officially 4 commitments in the boat, and the pieces are starting to fit together a little bit now. I want to talk about that. Before today's commitment, you had Mo Diabate, a long, rangy, hustling, rebounding, a slashing wing from Kentucky who gives you great defensive presence on the wing. You had Marcio Santos, the 6'8" Brazilian-born player from over in Europe, who's 23 and can score very well around the basket, as well as shoot the 3 in the pick-and-pop game at the 4 spot. You've got Divine Ugachukwu, nailed it, who is a 6'3" combo guard, shot it pretty well last year for Michigan State, pretty good defender, good slashing scorer, and has played 2 years of college basketball at a high level at Miami and Michigan State. So got your 6'3" guard, got a 6'8" post shooter, and you've got a defensive wing in Mo Diabate who comes in. What I told you yesterday is they still need some of these pieces. They need a point guard who's a distributor, a threat to shoot, and can run the show. They need a point guard badly, obviously. They also need a 6'10", 250-pound guy who can play physically at the rim with his back to the basket offensively and defending the post and the rim defensively. You've got to have that as well. You also need shooters. You always need shooters. Well, ask and you shall receive on point number 3 there, because LSU received a commitment today from Abdi Bashir Jr. Yes, this team's just going to be difficult to pronounce, and that's coming from a guy who has to say a different name when he orders food to go because no one can understand Hunt. Had to say my name 5 times in crowded bars in college. I got a tough name to pronounce at times or to understand at times. These are probably tougher. And so you've got Abdi Bashir, but he can shoot the basketball. And, I mean, he can shoot it really well. I hesitated yesterday to tell you that Divine Ugachukwu was a great shooter. He shot the ball well for Michigan State in 12 starts, 21 games last year, shot a really good percentage. But he was a terrible shooter at Miami the year before. That's a small sample size for Ugachukwu in terms of shooting the basketball. With Bashir, this sample size ain't small. 3 years, 2 at Monmouth, 1 at Kansas State, 84 games played, 50 games started. He has shot in his college basketball career 614 threes. Over 614 threes, he's shooting 40% from 3. As a freshman, 39%. As a sophomore, when he led the conference in three-point attempts and three-point makes in the CAA, he shot 38%. Last year at Kansas State, 18 games, 18 starts, 44% from deep for Abdi Bashir Jr. This guy is a shooter at 6'7". He's from Omaha, and he can fill it up. I watched the highlight tape, and something I like about him, he's obviously got great length at 6'7". When he shoots the 3, one, he'll shoot it from the parking lot. The range is legit NBA. He will pull up from a long way away, and he shoots a beautiful high-arcing 3. Even when he shoots a 12-foot jumper, it's way up there. It's soft, and he splashes it. This is a legit shooter and floor spacer for Will Wade. The points per game might be a little bit deceiving. He averaged 20.1 points per game at Monmouth, but he's not necessarily a great scorer because when you look at that year at Monmouth, he shot 589 shots, which is a lot. He made, in 332 of them, well over 50% were from the three-point line. So he is a three-point shooter by trade. He will put it on the floor, as just about anyone will do. I know there was a guy in the tournament this year that played against Wisconsin that made his first two of the year. Bashir is not that, but he's a three-point shooter. And what I really like about this is that Bashir is going to be on one of the wings. He is a dead-eye shooter. And Marcio Santos, the 6'8" European forward they got, well, he's Brazilian, but he was in Europe playing in Tel Aviv. He is an elite pick-and-pop shooter as well. So you've got two guys who are not primary ball handlers who are really good three-point shooters. And that means the floor's open because you can't leave Bashir open. I watched the highlight tapes. The numbers are screaming off the page at me. You cannot help off him very much. And you have to go out and guard him at 35 feet because there is a lot on this highlight tape at Kansas State in the Big 12 of him shooting the ball from way deep. Now, that's not always a great shot, but the threat dictates what the defense has to do, right? So, as I said to start this segment, it's what I said in my news piece at LouisianaSports.net. These pieces are starting to fit. You've got a guy in Ugachukwu who can create shots and shoot a little bit, we think, and slash. You've got Diabate, who's a hustler and a defender. And then you've got two guys now that are not short, that are not undersized, that can really shoot. You're still missing some pieces, obviously. And Will Wade's told you he has 7 or 8 guys, and we only have 4 confirmed. I feel okay about Saliu Nuang. Everyone is talking about him, but I'm not going to count him in the class yet, and he may be the biggest game changer of them all if and when that does come to pass. He is a scorer on all 3 levels. But you've got some really key pieces that fit some traits that you just have to win. Matt McMahon's teams fought offensively for 3 years because they could not shoot from 3. And you just become easier to defend when you cannot shoot from 3. You guys don't have to stretch out on the perimeter. You can sag in. You cut off drives. You don't have to rush to help and get out of rotation. There's just so much that you're able to do defensively when you don't have to worry about shooters. And I can't tell you if Bashir's going to start. I can't tell you if Santos is going to start. I do a portal profile, which some of these aren't portal guys. Bashir is. I do a portal profile on LouisianaSports.net, and I'd give you the fit in that writing that I do. And it's hard to do on a basketball team with no players because I don't know if these are the only 2 shooters LSU's got that are going to have to be out there. I don't know who the point guard is and whether or not you've got other scorers or whether or not you're going to have to see, Bashir develop into a 3-level scorer instead of a 1-level scorer, which is kind of what he is right now. But if you do add a point guard who can really distribute, someone in De'Don Thomas's mold, someone in Tremont Waters' mold, if you do add that, all of a sudden these guys become huge weapons spacing the floor. And you do have to add a big that's got some size to him. You need someone who looks like, and in a lot of respects, plays like Mike Nwoku. That's just a piece you have to have. But you also have to have shooters, and LSU has got 2 guys that can really fill it up. As I mentioned yesterday with Ugachukwu, I'm not going to give you a high shooting grade for him. It's possible, but that's a small sample size from 20 games at Michigan State. This is 50 starts over 84 games. This guy's a 40% three-point shooter. That's a bucket, and that's what LSU really, really, really needs. Kansas State did not have a great year, and they're struggling. They, Jerome Tang fell. I mean, he had such a great start there as the coach, and just kind of fell apart over 2 years. And he did not like this team. He talked about this team publicly, like these guys aren't going to be here next year. And I don't know what that means for Bashir in the locker room or how much that mattered. And this is going to be a locker room that Will Wade's going to have to blend together from a lot of different backgrounds and a lot of different cultures and a lot of different experiences that these guys are bringing in. But they do fit from a basketball perspective some roles you've got to have. And so I was excited to turn on. I was excited when I saw the stat sheet for Bashir. I turned on the highlight tape and went, yeah, that's one you've got to have. He's tall. You've got to put someone with some length on him, which means you may have to take linked off somebody who can really dribble in attack, which is a good thing. And if you close out low on him, he'll get that shot off. It's a high arcer, and he can splash it with the best of them. One of the best shooters in college basketball is Abdi Bashir. I'll get there. I got them all written down here, but it's quite a list. And Chris Blair, you know what I feel worse for than Chris Blair on this?
Who?
Chris will get this. I've knocked Ukachukwu out of the park like 8 times in this segment, and it's only my second day.
Yeah.
What about when LSU goes to Mississippi State in that first SEC game or whoever they play, and the Mississippi State announcer is going to look at this LSU roster and go, oh, God.
He's like, God bless.
I don't know who any of these guys are, and I got to pronounce all these names. Now, Chris will have it knocked out by game 3. I'm confident he'll have it licked. When you only get one shot at this team, my goodness, it's a lot of vowels going. It's a lot of vowels.
Better fire up the YouTube.
I'm not too concerned with the pronunciations as I am with them winning basketball games. Will Wade seems to think they're going to be pretty good, and it stands to reason they might be pretty good because they got some good pieces to this puzzle to this point. I'll have a portal profile up on Ukachukwu tomorrow on LouisianaSports.net in the morning, and probably on Bashir on Mother's Day Sunday morning as well. So that's a look at LSU hoops. We got to talk some LSU baseball with Anthony Dasher, who covers Georgia, coming up in 15 minutes. I have been scouring the internet for content on Saints minicamp. We'll talk about rookie minicamp when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Swing Easy Golf Club in Baton Rouge. Man, what a day to get by Swing Easy. It's Friday. You're knocking off of work. You want to play golf. You can't. It's soaking wet out there. There's not one golf course in town, I bet, you can play golf at today. But you can play at Swing Easy. Go by and see him, Segan at Perkins, and get in one of those private bays. I had a couple golf shots back on Wednesday. It's great. You can drink some cold beers. They got them right there in the fridge, right when you walk in the door. They got seltzers in there as well, glass of wine if you want. Bring crew over there or go by yourself. Turn on Pebble Beach. Turn it on at that place they give out the jacket. They got that as well. And maybe tomorrow morning, you've been looking forward to a tee time all week, but the course is closed, too wet. You can go to Swing Easy. They're open at night as well. So once it gets dark, Friday night at Swing Easy, you can get that done, compete with your friends, work on your game with a driving range feature. This is the perfect day, perfect weekend to get on by Swing Easy Golf Club. We've also got a cool thing coming next week with Swing Easy where we're going to qualify you to compete in their league. It's a scramble league, 2-on-2, that they're going to have coming up this spring into the summer, and we can get you qualified for that next week. So be on the lookout for that. It's Swing Easy Golf Club on Segan at Perkins. Online, swingeasygcbr.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
It also might be a great weekend. I told you about Swing Easy Golf Club there prior to the break, but what about getting some swings in this weekend while it's pouring down rain? What about getting some work in off the mound while it's pouring down rain? Well, you probably can't do that out at the field, but you can at Marucci. You've got a youth baseball player, youth softball player that wants to get some work in over the weekend but can't with the weather the way it is. Marucci's got 24/7 cage access if you become a member. Want to get some hacks in? You can do it at Marucci. Want to get some pitching in? You can do it at Marucci. Want to get some infield work done? You can do it at Marucci as long as you're a member. Get that key card access. You can do it when it's dark outside, as it's raining, before school. Always a great option for the youth player that's trying to get better but is beholden to the weather and daylight. Not at Marucci. You can also take a tour. Check out where the official bat of Major League Baseball is made. 1,200 of them every single day are cut, stained, shipped off to the best players in the world. Take a tour and learn about how awesome that process is over at Marucci. MarucciSports.com/campus-tour is where you can get that ticket. And every single ticket comes with a 20% discount in the campus tour store and in the hitter's house. That's from our friends over at Marucci. All right, as I mentioned at the top of the show, this is not going to be the most smooth sailing of segments with the Saints. Their mini camp is just at an awkward time for my particular show. They're on the field early. They're in the locker room and press conferences late, so I'm not able to get the beat writers in, not able to get any real context for what was going on firsthand because I'm here. But we can monitor social media and learn some things that were going on out at Rookie Minicamp in the first day. And our guy Ross Jackson was out there today and has some reports up on Twitter. He'll certainly have reaction to the day where they were able to observe some of the workout as well as Kellen Moore's press conference up at LouisianaSports.net for free later this afternoon. The one absence today was Kristen Miller. Kristen Miller, the pick from Georgia, the Saints took there to play on the interior defensive front in the second round. He was unavailable today. It was an injury. Doesn't seem to be anything significant at all. Everything that I talk about in rookie minicamp has to immediately come attached with the lowest level of importance. Like, this is the most insignificant thing I believe the Saints do all year's rookie minicamp. Getting guys fitted for helmets, getting them out there moving around a little bit, showing them a little bit of the system, seeing how healthy some guys are. Like, this is below OTAs, certainly below training camp, below the draft, below all that stuff. This is an acclimation to professional football. And, like, I'm not going to overreact to anything really that goes on out there unless somebody goes off on a cart, okay? So Christian Miller did not go off on a cart. He just wasn't there participating. Kellen Moore said it was an injury, but they're not too concerned about that. Ross also mentioned Lorenzo Styles was more involved than he expected. Of course, Styles had that labrum surgery. Didn't do a lot, but he did line up for some gunner drills and some low-intensity stuff on special teams. Styles would be a great candidate for that. He's got elite speed, not a guy that figures to play every down on defense, and not a guy that will get gassed covering punts and not be able to help you where he's supposed to on that side of the ball. So it's a good thing that they're looking at him in that perspective, and it's a good thing that he's out there recovering from a labrum surgery. So Styles was out there. That's very, very good. Ross saw Bryce Lance drop a pass. That's bad. You don't want drop passes. But immediately, Bryce Lance hit the deck and did some push-ups. Ross goes to a lot of Saints practices and does not know if that was mandatory. Just may have been an accountability thing. And a lot of the Saints beat reporters that I've talked to mentioned about Bryce Lance is he talked about the championship standard that the Saints are striving for in this new era, and that he wants to be a part of that. And obviously, he comes from that. It's at a lower level, but you play at North Dakota State, you're expected to win. And so there's a standard there, standard in New Orleans that they're trying to uphold, and you hit the deck after a drop, that's some accountability in rookie minicamp. Ross liked the pace today. It showed a little tempo. They did a little full-speed action on 7-on-7 with no contact as well. That was kind of the nuts and bolts from today at Saints rookie minicamp. I'm curious to see the returns on Jordan Tyson, what he's able to do. Obviously, from the first day, like, for example, when the Saints reporters go out for the first day of training camp, you're moving around pretty good. It's time to get ready to go play a game. Same thing when we go out and cover LSU fall camp. That first day, you're moving around. Like, you're going. This, for the Saints, is going to be at a slower pace. So as things ramp up over the course of time, Tyson's going to be asked to do more. And I just want to see how he's moving around. The most recent thing we've seen from him on field are the hamstring issues. You've got the video from the workout with the explosiveness, and you've got him jumping up and making catches, and you've got him being the twitchy freak athlete that he is. You can't see that today. They're walking through. They're doing a lot of stuff that's non-contact and non-full speed, but they will get into some stuff, especially when it's 1-on-0, 1-on-1s, that will have some more pace to them. You just want to see Jordan Tyson go out there and do his thing. And candidly, he's the most talented player out there. He's the first-round pick of the rookie class. Everybody else is down the line from draft picks or guys fighting for their NFL lives on a rookie minicamp invitation. The Kyle Trasks of the world, okay? He's the most talented guy out there. He needs to show that when that time comes. The time hasn't come. Today's not that time. But when that time comes, he needs to show he's the most talented guy out there. You want to see Christian Miller progress. You would like to see him do a little bit more, but this is not going to be full pads, not going to be, anything wild and crazy. You're going to see some guys you want to pick up on attendance, you want to pick up on health, and that's what you're looking for. I think the most impactful things that will come out of rookie minicamp will be the interview sessions with Kellen Moore and with the players, and that's not something we have access to yet. They've just gotten off the field about 45 minutes ago. So we'll be reading about it at LouisianaSports.net. We'll be able to give you some sound from that, and we'll be able to give you some reaction. And I reached out to multiple Saints reporters, but they're working right now in the locker room, so they're going to get some interviews, and all that'll be up over your Twitter feeds and certainly up at LouisianaSports.net. We'll continue to monitor it. Did get word today that the schedule release is coming up next Thursday. So, as we mentioned, they'll never get out of the news cycle. They're always in it. And next Thursday, we'll get the Saints schedule, and we'll certainly react to that. Anything specifically, Jordan, you're looking at in a little rookie mini camp action? It's, as I mentioned, it's the lowest thing on the totem pole.
It's the lowest thing on the totem pole, but that Ross tweet about Bryce Lance hitting the deck and hitting those push-ups, that does move me a little bit. It moves me a little bit. I know it's mini camp, And let me see you do that, week 7 after you played a couple games and you're still doing that. I get it. First day on the job, you want to make a good impression. You're hitting the deck after dropping the ball. But if that's his mentality and that's the mentality he's coming in, into this system with, into the season with, that's a good sign because you're going to need one of these guys we know what Tyson's going to do outside of him and Olave, but like your Bryce Lance, Barryon Brown, one of these guys are going to have to step up and take that next jump for this offense to really, go to that next level that everybody is assuming that the Saints are going to take. So I do like that about Bryce Lance, but let's revisit that week 10 if you're still hitting the deck.
Let's put your Jimmy Ott hat on.
Okay.
I'm gonna give you a crisp $10 bill.
$10.
Bryce Lance.
Bryce Lance.
Over under catches this season in the season 15.
Oh, over.
Over?
Over. Yeah. Oh, I mean, if he doesn't hit over 10 catches, we're in trouble because he's a third-round pick.
If Vele is...
Vele, but it's just because of his skill set is more of like the deep threat type of guy. And I'm not expecting him to just be deep balls all the time, but I'm expecting at least be in the mix. I'll say that, in the mix.
We'll see. They brought in a lot of different guys. They got a lot of different options.
Yeah, somebody
to make something happen. Somebody's got to, as you mentioned, somebody's got to step up there. So that's a look at Saints minicamp. Ross Jackson's all over it. Follow him on Twitter at RossJacksonNola, and certainly read him at LouisianaSports.net. All right, chugging along here on a Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. We're brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. LSU and Georgia coming at you from Foley Field. 2.5 hours from right now, 5 o'clock first pitch Central Time from Georgia. We'll talk about that matchup with Anthony Dasher. He covers the Georgia Bulldogs. He's in Athens. We'll do that when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Love telling you about the Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com, HighlandIG.com. If you're a business owner or you're in HR in charge of the benefits at your business and it's just been a struggle for you, the Highland Insurance Group is here to help. They understand that there's one certain carrier here in South Louisiana that's been running those rates up and up and up, and you may have gotten an increase, a significant one, the last 2 or 3 renewals. If that's happened or there's another renewal coming up and you'd like a second set of eyeballs, the Howland Insurance Group can help you out with that. They've got contracts with multiple carriers, and they may be able to shop for the best price for you and make sure that your employees are taken care of. Obviously, employee benefits like healthcare, dental, vision, those are vital in attracting talent to your organization and maintaining that talent. If you're not able to do that, or you're just being hamstrung, your budget's being hamstrung by the consistent increases in your premiums, let the Howland Insurance Group take a look. They want to help. They obviously can help with property and casualty. I tell you about that just about every day. They can help with group and employee benefits as well. So if you're a business owner, if you're in HR, or you're in charge, the CFO, of dealing with the benefits for your business, the Highland Insurance Group is online at HighlandIG.com, and they are here to help. Contact Jonathan Carbo and his team. They're here in Baton Rouge, can help you out statewide. It's the Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp.
Chugging along here, Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Check out the menu, corksfishandshrimp.com, corksfishandshrimp.com. One team fighting for its NCAA tournament life, one team fighting for an SEC title, and has the top 8 seed all but locked up. It's LSU and Georgia from Foley Field in Athens over the weekend, starting up in about 2.5 hours. Anthony Dasher covers Georgia for Rivals and On 3, joins us now on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Anthony, thanks for the time. How are you?
Doing great. Appreciate your time.
It's our pleasure. Let's see about this Georgia team, and we'll start with the starter tonight on the mound with Joey Volchko, transferred in from Stanford. How would you characterize his season thus far?
It's been, I guess, pretty good. The big thing with Joey is sometimes, and we've seen several instances this year in first innings, he comes out pretty amped up. I mean, he's a pretty fiery guy, and sometimes it takes an inning or two to calm down. And we've seen some instances, mostly on the road, where his control, can be affected a little bit. At home, he's been a little bit of a different pitcher, but usually once he gets to the first, second inning, he can pretty much settles down and he's pretty much counting for five or 6 innings. So that's going to be something to look for today to see if he is wild, if LSU can take advantage of him early on.
Georgia has not lost a start by Dylan Vigue to this point. He's scheduled to get the ball tomorrow. What can you tell us about him this year?
Yeah, well, Dylan is coming off some arm crapness from about 3 weeks ago, and he said he's 100%. We'll see. He didn't didn't pitch a ton. I think he was limited to 60 pitches this past weekend. But he's a guy who just puts tremendous spin on the ball. I mean, his spin rate is by far the best on the team right now. What the job Wes Johnson has done with him has really been tremendous. And when he's on, he's tough to handle. But kind of like Vasco, I mean, walks have hurt him from time to time, and that's something he needs to keep under control.
I got a pretty good handle on those two because we've seen them a lot over the course of the year. How would you characterize Georgia's depth beyond them, especially in the bullpen?
It's deeper than what's been the past 2 years. That said, I mean, you're talking, your quote unquote weekend pitchers. They probably don't go a good, 7, 8, deep. Now Sunday starters, it's going to be a TBA. Now they hope it's going to be Caden Aoki. Just depends on what happens these first two ball games. Because if it's a case where Georgia's ahead, I mean, West will not hesitate to put Caden in to try to lock games down. But other than that, Matt Scott, who came over with Bosco from Stanford, has been very effective. Justin Burr's a guy who knows how to miss bats. He also knows how to give up home runs. He's given up 12 homers, but his strikeout to walk ratio is again one of the best on the team right now. And Paul Farley's another guy who's had some middling success coming out of the pen. Get beyond that, it's can be a little bit shaky at times for Georgia, and sometimes West has really had to piece things together, like we saw that Game 3 with Ole Miss when they were really struggling to try to find some arms to step up, but they did manage to get it done.
Georgia's got 18 league wins already. There are 2 weekends to go. Obviously, an SEC championship is a nice thing to do, but Wes Johnson's trying to get to Omaha for the first time as Georgia's head coach. So how would you suggest the sense of urgency is this weekend? Obviously, LSU's on a 10 out of 10. They've got to win 4 of their last 6 against 2 really good teams. Does Georgia still have a ton of sense of urgency this weekend?
West will tell you they don't, but I'm not sure if that's truly the case. They have been really, really good about the old cliche, taking it one game at a time. And I've asked him several times over the past few weeks if they've even brought up the SEC title, and every time he swears no, we have not even mentioned it.
Yeah.
Once. And that's not to say that's not a goal. That wasn't a goal before the season, but it's really not something this team is really harping on right now. They just want to finish strong, play as good baseball as they possibly can, and then after that, kind of see where they stand.
Offensively, a lot of home runs, more than anybody in college baseball. What is that makes Georgia good beyond the long ball?
In the past 2 or 3 weeks, they've done a much better job of not just being one of these, rip and grip teams. I mean, you're seeing a little more hit and run. You're seeing hit behind runners. You're seeing hitters go to the opposite field, up the middle, where it's not just every pitch they're trying to yank it the other direction. So that's stuff they really improved, and it's something they're going to need to, keep doing well, I think, as they move forward, because as you've seen, you get to regionals, NCAA tournament, you're going to run into good pitchers, and if you're playing some of these bigger ballparks, sometimes the home runs won't play. So that's something they're trying to maybe, not get away from home runs, because that's still a very big part of their game, but they want to be a more balanced offense. And over the past 2 or 3 weeks, they've done a better job of that.
Is there a weakness on this team? Doesn't appear that way, the way that they've played thus far, but there's something for you?
Yeah, well, like I said, once you get past the first 6 or 7 pitchers, it's been kind of shaky. I mean, there's some ugly ERAs in that Bulldog bullpen, right now, and so if that's the thing is if LSU can have success getting some of these starting pitchers out earlier, that's going to definitely, as it always does, obviously play into their hands, but especially against this Georgia team, which has some, like I said, some very ugly ERAs. Once you get that about the number 8 guy on the staff.
Anthony Dasher is our guest, covers Georgia for the On3 Rivals Network. Tigers and Bulldogs 3-game set from Foley Field coming up this weekend, starting at 5 o'clock Central Time tonight. What kind of environment do you expect this weekend in Athens?
I think it'd be rocking. I mean, Georgia's is sold out. All their home conference games have been complete sellouts, and it's pretty raucous. Now it's not going to be what you see at Mississippi State or Ole Miss or in the box or anything like that. But it's still a very lively crowd. The folks getting into the game, but it's not, I guess, as quote unquote unfriendly environment maybe you see some other places.
And then last thing, what do you believe this is an Omaha team that Georgia's got?
I think they've got a good chance, probably a better chance they had the last 2 years, last 2 seasons. And I've talked about it on our board a lot. I think even with some of the pitching questions, I think they're still deeper than they have been the previous 2 years. If Georgia can get itself in the position, well, they only have to, like in a region, just play 3 games or something of that nature. And I think they'll have a better chance. But I do like their chances better, just from an overall standpoint. I have the previous 2 years. I just think just offensively, like I said, I don't see this team as being as reliant on the home runs. Again, even though they lead the country right now, it's a versatile lineup, a deep lineup. They can do a lot of things.
Anthony, we really appreciate some time. Enjoy the baseball over the weekend.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
That's Anthony Dasher, covers Georgia for UGAsports.com on Rivals and on 3. And it's an interesting thing. And there's not a ton of momentum in baseball. It's probably made up a little bit. We've certainly seen LSU teams get hot. There are teams that you can immediately think of. The 08 team that was kind of left for dead, Maneri's second team, and they rattled off 23 in a row, just went on that ridiculous run late in the season through Hoover and didn't lose until the Super against Irvine, and actually won that in games 2 and 3 to close out the box. But that team went nuts late. Of course, the Rally Possum team in 2016 got hot really late. You saw Jay Johnson's first team here that just blasted Vanderbilt in the last weekend and really was playing great into Hattiesburg Regional and had those 2 great comebacks. This team might be getting hot. Kade Arambidi said earlier they're getting hot. They might be playing their best baseball. They might have just played a South Carolina team that can't hit at all. Like, if you told me tonight, 5 o'clock first pitch, that Schmidt goes out there and gives you 5 one-run innings with 7 strikeouts, and that LSU hit 3 home runs and they beat Georgia 9-4, like, I would believe that. If you told me that Georgia hits 5 home runs tonight and LSU makes 2 errors and LSU gets 10 run because South Carolina's terrible and we got tricked, I would buy that. I would. I believe that Mason Braun and Omar Cerna and Kade Arambidi are way better today than they were when LSU went to Nashville. I believe they're way better. You don't have Brown. You don't have Evans. You don't have Stanfield. But I think you've got a couple of guys who are way better. I think Milam is hot, and I don't have to worry about whether or not that's competition dependent. I've seen him in the biggest stage in the sport be great, and I think he's swinging the bat awesome. So I do believe they're playing a little bit better. I think South Carolina is terrible. I think they're terrible. Offensively, just weak at bats, weak contact, no power, no pop, and I think LSU is better than South Carolina. But I don't know if LSU would have been better than South Carolina on March 20th because LSU was just not playing very well. And I think they're playing better. But this is a different beast. You're playing a team that is in the top 3 in the SEC in fielding percentage, that has a first-round pick going tonight, has a monster spin rate guy going on Saturday, has a couple of really good bullpen bullets, and hits more home runs than anybody in college baseball, and plays in a Little League park to do it. Now, hopefully, LSU, as they did in a Little League park in Knoxville, hits a bunch of home runs. They did that in Knoxville. Huge grand slam from Curiel. Aaron Beatty hit 4 in one game. Milam left the yard. Dardar hit a couple homers, and he's back this weekend, which is good. But you got to do it, and it's a pitching staff that's been tough to do that off of at the top. Volchko has not been tagged for a lot of home runs, and Vague has only given up 1 in his SEC outings. Now, if those guys lose the strike zone, which they have at times, you may be onto something. You got to make them pay for that. But I don't know what to expect tonight. I really don't. There are times where I know what to expect from LSU. Kate Anderson's getting the ball on the Friday. I know what to expect. Paul Skeen's getting it on Friday. I know what to expect. I got a lineup that looks like the 25 team or the 23 team. I know what to expect. Even that team in 24 that had Cruz, not Cruz, had the 22 is what I'm talking about. Jay's first team that had Cruz and Morgan and Thompson and Doty and like that team, Dugas, like that team could hit. And I kind of knew they were going to hit. I had no idea what you were going to get from the mound. It was Mikhail Hilliard, Paul Gervais, Razelman, and Riley Cooper, and like whatever else. Jacob Berry's on that team offensively too. And I kind of knew what to expect offensively from that team. This one, I'm just not sure. I'm not sure. There's a part of me that wants to believe they're playing better. Georgia doesn't have quite the sense of urgency. They're going to hit some home runs. They'll get some quality relief pitching. Sheeran will be good, and they'll get 2. There's part of me that wants to believe that. And there's part of me that sat in the box on Sunday with Myers. He was playing. I was watching the game. And went, this South Carolina team is awful. They can't hit. I was so unafraid of them going out there and getting a hit off Cowan. Just unafraid. And that's just not the case with this Georgia lineup. They got 5 guys with 13-plus homers. They got 5 guys hitting 300 or better in the league, which doesn't happen a lot. They got real dudes in that lineup, and it's a bandbox. So you're probably going to have to win some slugfest. Now, as I told you all in the first hour, Florida went in there and held Georgia without a home run on the whole weekend. But Aiden King's got as good a metrics as Paul Skeens in SEC play, and Liam Peterson's going to be a top 35, 40 pick. So that's not where LSU is. But hey, if you go in there this weekend and Schmidt's good and Paz is good and Sheeran's good and Cowan's good and Braun is good and Cerna's good and Aaron Beatty's good and Milam's good and you win 2 games, you will come out of this thing on Monday going, all right, come on, Gators. What you got? This whole town will be inspired if they can go out there and win this weekend. But if South Carolina's really that bad and LSU's really that hurt and LSU's pitching is the worst ERA and their fielding is the worst, and they go out there and get their butts kicked like they did in Oxford, like they did in Starkville, like they did against A&M, teams that are better than them, well, we'll have our answer, and you'll know on Monday. You win 1 game this weekend, and you feel like you're back against the wall, but you're still alive. And as I mentioned in hour number 1, about an hour and 15 minutes ago, it's incumbent upon Jay Johnson this weekend to manage this thing exactly right. When you have a chance to win in the middle innings, you got to deploy the big guns. If you are behind, you have to hold them on Friday. And that could mean tonight gets out of hand because you might have to go from Schmidt to some of the guys who haven't been great. You might have to go to Rizzi. You might have to go to Dax Stothy. You might have to go to Primo. I don't even know if he's around anymore. You can't go to your best bullpen guys if you're getting beat. You can go to Theophilus if you feel good about that. You can go to Reagan Ricken, but you can't. The only way you can go to Cowan, Sheeran, Garcia, and those guys for Fontenot is if you have a lead. It means the offense has got to figure it out. Draw some walks, hit a couple out of the yard. We'll see. LSU and Georgia, 5 o'clock Central Time tonight, 4:30 Eagle 98.1. You can find Chris Blair and Bill Franquez on the call from Foley Field. Let's hope. I'm optimistic. We'll see. Come out and close it out next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
First American Bank and Trust, FABT.com. FABT.com. First American Bank and Trust. Been doing business in Southeast Louisiana since 1910. I don't know what else is going on in 1910, but it was a long time ago. It was 116 years ago, and First American Bank and Trust started up. They have grown from that point to 25 locations throughout Southeast Louisiana. St. Tammany, they're there. Tangipahoa, they're there. St. James, St. John, Lafourche, Terrebonne, they're there. Jones Creek, Dutchtown, they're there. Metairie, they're there. 25 locations. That means they've got the capabilities as national banks, but it's all done with a hometown feel, and the decisions that are made by First American Bank and Trust on your commercial loan, on your personal loan, are made in Southeast Louisiana. That's important. It's First American Bank and Trust. Stop in a location today. Check them out online at FABT.com. First American Bank and Trust.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Quirks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
Failure happens to us all, but it's how champions evolve.
I want to send a big happy Mother's Day out to all the moms out there that are listening to us. Hope you have an awesome and safe, fun weekend with those closest to you. Should be a wet weekend over the weekend, but that doesn't mean you can't spend some quality time. Looking forward to our time with the moms in our life over at the Palmer House there Saturday and Sunday of this weekend. So happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. We got one order of business left. Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
All right, so Darren Peterson spent much of his freshman season at Kansas trying to solve this little mysterious debilitating and cramping issue. But an extended interview with ESPN this week, Peterson said that a new round of blood work and other tests showed that the high doses of creatine that they were using at Kansas was creating this condition where his body was locking up into full body cramps. So are you back in on Darren Peterson now that you know he wasn't asking out of games just to do it? Take it or leave it.
Leave it. I don't know that's what happened. It sounds like a convenient excuse. I didn't see any full body cramps. I saw a guy that was getting about 12 points in the first half and sitting out the second.
Yeah, no, the one where he like waved at the coach or whatever. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I still remember that one. That was nasty.
Full body cramps. I mean, look, this is a likely story. He's trying to protect his investment. That's part of the deal in college sports. We know that we're a stepping stone level here at college, but that's I'm not buying that fully. I'm not suggesting he completely fabricated the entirety of everything. I'm suggesting that he didn't exactly work really hard to fight through that.
All right, so Skip Bayless returned to First Take for the first time in a decade in all his trolling glory. So is Hunt back in on First Take now that Skip is back? Take it or leave it.
I'm going to leave it. I saw a couple clips on social media. They were playing all the hits. They were debating LeBron's legacy. I would rather jam an ice pick into my eye than listen to Skip Bayless and Stephen A. Smith debate LeBron James' legacy.
Yeah, in 2026.
And then they're debating the Cowboys against the Knicks.
Yeah.
Man, my team's cursed. Your team stinks. It just get off my television. Wouldn't watch it for $10. Just no shot. Not watching.
All right, so Hunt's homemade jambalaya. Take it or leave it.
We're going to give it a shot, okay? We feel good about the gumbo. We've been doing gumbo for about 10 years now. I do a good gumbo. I enjoy it. I've never tried jambalaya. I am a bad cook. I enjoy cooking. I'm not good at it. We're going for jambalaya tomorrow. Okay. We'll see how it goes. My optimism level is reasonably high. It looks pretty easy. It's pretty similar to gumbo in some ways, but I've never done it. I love jambalaya. If it's bad, I will know. But I love it. I want to make it well. It's going to be the first trial run. My optimism on scale of 1 to 10, 6.
I'll take that as a.
I'll take it.
We'll fully give the review on Monday's show.
Well, hold on. How's that going to work that you're reviewing your own food?
Well, other people are going to eat it too, but I'm going to be a harsh. If it stinks, it stinks.
Okay.
Like my last gumbo, we talked about it. It was atrocious. I'll know if it's awful.
Okay.
For some reason, the last gumbo I did, I don't need all the cooks coming out of the woodworks. I know I suck at cooking, but I've cooked 50 gumbos in my life. Great. This one, it was clumpy, the roux and it just didn't
Lord,
work.
No, we ain't doing that.
It was bad.
Yeah, we ain't doing that.
That was the last one of the season. I'm not going to make another one until November or December. So you got to stew on this poor performance for an entire offseason.
So when I hear that just means that there is so much riding on the jambalaya Saturday.
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on. Like, this is like your Game 7 right now.
On Sunday for Mother's Day, I'm making lemon chicken meatballs, Boris lemon chicken meatballs, and they're easy and they're awesome. That's a slam dunk easy one.
Chef Palmer over here?
Yeah, it's me. I'm a great chef.
I'm about to say
I
Chef
like to
Palmer?
cook. Podcasts, cold beers. I like cooking. I'm just not any good at it.
Hey, well, look, time will tell. Time will tell. So James Harden played his 182 career playoff game last night with 4 turnovers and 3 made field goals. It was his 46th playoff game that he had more turnovers than field goals made. That's over 25% of his career playoff games. Is James Harden a one-of-one playoff dropper? Take it or leave it.
I'll leave it. I mean, he's probably decent.
No.
Not right now.
Okay.
He was decent when he was in his prime. I'm going to be honest. Let's just put the cards on the table. There is a lot more Peppa Pig on in my house in NBA playoffs.
Okay.
There's a lot more Spidey on in my house in NBA playoffs. I control very little of the TV, and when I do control it, we're watching the Cubs, we're watching LSU.
Cubs
One's
hot.
for work, the Cubs are rolling. I don't have a lot of time for James Harden right now.
You ain't missing nothing.
So I'm not seeing what's going on out there, but I feel like he's probably over the hill.
Oh, yeah. It's real bad right now.
Is he still shooting step-back threes and kicking his foot out and getting 4-point plays?
He can't even shoot a step back three. They're clamping him up so bad. I mean, we're talking the Detroit Pistons. They're young, and they're just throwing him on the ground. They're throwing him on the ground. Cade Cunningham was tearing him up last night.
Well,
he's over. It's over. It is over. So that is it for Take It.
That's it for Take It or Leave It. All right, that's it for us on this week.
Time to cook.
It's time for me to go to the grocery store, get all the stuff for the weekend, go get the kids in the rain, which is not going to be great, and then go home and start cooking and get ready for baseball. I got a story to write this evening for the post game, but I'm guarded. Like, this is not a spot you want to be in if you're LSU. You got to figure out a way to get 2 games against the best team in the league, but LSU's done this before on many occasions, so hopefully they can do it tonight. I'm excited to watch at the very least. Missed any of the show today? Catch it on demand. We talked LSU football, talked Saints minicamp, Talked LSU basketball, talked LSU baseball. It's all there at the Hunt Palmer Show, wherever you find your podcast. Hunt on LSU, get you all your LSU coverage. Hunt on Saints for all your Saints coverage. Appreciate you all for checking us out each and every day. That's it for us. Matt's going to drive you home next on After Further Review. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. We're back Monday, same time, same place. We'll kick the week off with the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Before we move on for the weekend, Fabry Chevrolet GMC. Got to remind you about Fabry Chevrolet GMC. They are on Highway 61 in St. Francisville. Been there since October 1st, so they're into the swing of things. You get on by and go see them there in St. Francisville. You can start your buying experience online at FabryChevrolet.com. And I want to remind you, if you're looking for a Chevy Silverado, they've got them. If you're looking for a GMC Sierra, they've got them. They've got new inventory, obviously. They've also got pre-owned inventory as well. Want me to remind you, for those that have got a summer road trip coming up, whether you're going to the beach, whether you're going to the grandparents, whether you're going to the mountains, wherever you may be going with the whole fam, if you need a new ride for that, they can help you at Fabry Chevrolet GMC. Chevy Suburbans, they got them. Tahoes, they got them. GMC Sierras, Yukons, Denali's, they've got those as well. Go by and see them. The customer service you get from the Fabry family is second to none. That's why they've been here in Baton Rouge for 35 years. Check them out online at FabryChevrolet.com or in St. Francisville, it's FabryChevrolet.com.